Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Off and running, hour number 3 here on After Further Review. Musso in for Moscona. It's a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Jordan Kitchens here, Paul O'Neill here, and glad to have all of you here as well. You're just knocking off work, ending your work week, hopping in the car. We appreciate you making us part of your day as we send you into your weekend. 2 hours in the books and one more here to go, and then we are there at said weekend. It's been a great show so far, man. We have covered a wide variety of topics, from LSU football to LSU baseball, a silent change that happened in the college football playoff, a change to the New Orleans Saints coaching staff as well. If you missed any of it, of course, AFR On Demand. It's brought to you by Brett Golf, where you get your podcasts, After Further Review, or YouTube channel, AFR LSU, AFR Saints, and, of course, the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel as well. AFR On Demand, Brett Golf, if you missed anything from today's show. Would love for you to go back. If you're so inclined, give it a listen. All right. So we'll kick off our final hour here with a little college football. The ACC on Monday released their 2026 football schedule. You might say, why the hell do we care about that? Well, one of LSU's opponents factors into this in Clemson, but also a broader conversation in college football when it comes to scheduling and the calendar. So after the ACC released the schedule, there were no changes to anyone's. It was all how it was supposed to be laid out. But that wasn't for a lack of trying from the ACC as a league, and especially from Clemson. Clemson, last October, started the process of trying to file a waiver, or not trying to file, filing a waiver that would permit it to play a week 0 game in 2026, obviously the week before the opener against LSU. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, Clemson wanted to tune up. They weren't ready to play LSU last year. They wanted to tune up. They've lost 3 straight openers. They just wanted to, okay, yeah, sure. Careful, glass house. You were just there before you beat Clemson last year, so easy there. The reason they wanted it is a reason I actually have a hard time with. So, and I'll explain what I mean, because this factors into the broader part of this. It should be noted, the waiver was denied. They will not get one. It's also noted that LSU explored doing this as well with McNeese State, just moving McNeese State into week 0 and having a week 0 game as well. That was denied. Week 0 games are really reserved. It all centers around trips to Hawaii. And that's a key piece of information because that factors into what Clemson was trying to do here too. If you have Hawaii on your schedule, or like an opponent that has Hawaii on your schedule, you can schedule the week 0 game to account for the travel. Clemson was trying to pull that off, just not going to Hawaii. It's because they have to go to the West Coast this year and play Cal. This is Clemson's first trip to the West Coast for football since the ACC expanded, to have Cal and Stanford in the Atlantic Coast Conference, whatever. That's what they were looking for. The grounds of this was athlete recovery concerns related to the football's 2026 road game at Cal. And it goes a step further. So while that's what Clemson was after, the ACC as a league as a whole was after that. Because it wasn't just Clemson that filed the waiver. The conference filed a waiver on behalf of every team in the league that has to travel to either Stanford or Cal this year. What you're after is with week 0, you get a second bye week. And because of the way the calendar falls this year in 2026, you have one bye week again in college football. This is why I have an issue. Well, not an issue. This is why I have a hard time with this thought process from the ACC. Because, man, you know what? On the surface, it sounds really good. If you're going to have these coast-to-coast leagues like you do with the ACC and the Big Ten, where Rutgers in some years has to go all the way to Eugene, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington, and vice versa, and Clemson and Boston College have to go out to Stanford and Cal, and vice versa, those teams. That kind of makes a lot of sense, man. And these last 2 years, you've had 2 bye weeks in college football. And there's been past years where you've had it. And damn it, it's really enjoyable. It makes the season flow a lot better. Now, the way it's always been done is 1 bye week. Hell, you look at the NFL. The NFL plays 17 games. They have 1 bye week, right? Like, okay, you can survive with it. I'm just saying, watching it in succession the last 2 years, I'm a fan of the 2 byes. I think it does keep teams fresher longer throughout the season. I think it does help with injuries, and you get better football out of it. But again, I said I have a hard time for it. And the reason I have a hard time for it is very easy to decipher because, damn, the ACC, you're soft. The Big Ten didn't put in for these waivers. They fly back and across the country for these games, and they're a head and shoulders better league than you are. So, like, at that point, I'm like, well, that's weak. But they weren't alone. In this piece from the State, they note that the NCAA denied 20 of these such waivers of teams trying to move into a week 0 game. And that's where you get into the broader conversation about the calendar in college football in the season starting on week 0, which has become a more and more popular sentiment. And I am 100% in favor of that. You can count me squarely, and I think I've done a segment on this before, filling in for Matt. You can count me squarely in the camp that wants football season to start earlier, week 0, and wrap up on New Year's Day. The fact that you played the national championship game on January 19th, and it's going to be like 10 days later off of this season is ridiculous. You forget about it. Y'all, what was the story on January 19th this year? Do you remember? Because it wasn't the national championship game. The Bills fired Sean McDermott, and that's all that anyone wanted to talk about. Meanwhile, you had Indiana and Miami with storylines abound in that game, playing for a national championship, and it barely got any of the headlines. It barely got any of the publicity because the NFL was dominating the news cycle like they do. New Year's Day has already been so massive for college football throughout its history. You've owned that day forever. Continue to do it and end the season with your national championship game there. Where hopefully you're not head on competing with the NFL and the NFL playoffs. You might have to start the season a little bit earlier than week 0 to fully accomplish that if you want to keep the season at 12 games. I do. But the point remains. And the fact that you're seeing multiple teams like this submit these waivers to where the NCAA had to deny 20 of them, that number is only going to keep growing because this is the growing consensus that this is what needs to happen. And look, it gives you an extra bye week in there potentially every year now. And you do end up with fresher teams and hopefully more competitive games and all of those things. There's other factors. You'd have to figure out what to do with the conference championship games, and I'll stick my hand in the air. I'm a proponent of getting rid of them and having play-in games. Give me Vanderbilt and Texas for a play-in spot instead of the SEC championship. That's great. You want to have some automatic bids for teams that get in, and then it's team, 3 and 4 in the SEC playing for a spot in the college football playoff, or teams 4 and 5. Yeah, that's great. Same for the Big Ten. Same for you can tell me we could have potentially had a BYU Notre Dame play-in game. Something along those lines. Yeah, it's awesome. I think that's great. I think that would do great numbers for ratings. I think that would sell a lot of tickets at a neutral site. But I think you seeing that number of teams trying to finagle their way into week 0 shows you where this is heading. And that shows you a growing consensus. And it's only going to continue to grow. And eventually, I think you will get there, where week 0 is the opening week of college football. And you know what? It might be a terrible week of college football. It might be where you put all those, SEC versus FCS games or ACC versus FCS games. So that might be what you see, and it's a week of blowouts. But who cares? We're going to watch. We watch week 0 anyway. And a lot of that is FCS on FCS action, and we tune in. You have the Ireland game, and that's like the only Power 4 game. But we tune in and we grind it, and we do the same thing. And then hopefully, then you have the marquee matchups in week 1, which would then, be the second week of the season, and you get classics because everyone's had a time. I mean, man, you think back to 2019. Like, that is the way to do it. LSU opened with Georgia Southern, and then they went to Austin. And that game was awesome between LSU and Texas. You lost nothing off the marquee because it was in week 2 instead of week 1, and you had a better product on the field. Like, take away the whole conversation of fixing the college football calendar and the playoff and ending on New Year's Day. You're just going to see better football if that's the case. And I guess you could, devil's advocate, be like, oh, hey, why doesn't everybody just schedule those in week 2 now, like LSU did in 2019? You know what? That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that. My answer to that would actually be, well, that's when you get into the conversation of changing the college football calendar and fixing that, because that's a bigger issue. But I think it'd be awesome, and I think if you had 20 of those waivers this year, you're just going to continue to see those, to where eventually the NCAA and the powers that be are going to end up, hopefully, I don't know when this is going to be, but hopefully moving the start of the season to week 0. And I think it would be for the betterment of college football. So, boo on you, ACC, for being soft and trying to cut corners as a league, when another league that's better than you and has won the last 3 national championships does the same thing without complaining. But also good on you for taking a stand and trying to push something forward that I think is really good for college football. Okay, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. I have a couple thoughts from LSU's scrimmage yesterday at the box. They're actually scrimmaging right now as well. See if I can find anything out about what's been going on at the box here this afternoon. They started at 3 o'clock, so they should be right about wrapping up. But I definitely have some thoughts on yesterday's scrimmage from just things I've been able to gather around. So I want to give you that next here on AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. If you are a business owner, if you're an HR manager, a VP, an ops manager, if you're the person in charge of hiring at your job, at your place of business, and you're having trouble finding the right people, you need Glow Resources. And I want to remind you, Glow Resources, they're exceptional when it comes to skilled blue-collar workers and also white-collar divisions. Remember, Glow Resources has a full professional placement division. So we're talking about office administrators, executive-level assistants, assistant controllers, plant managers, scheduling assistants, basically any type of office job. Accounting, HR, marketing, managerial, supervisor roles. If you're having trouble finding those people and sometimes hard to fill roles, Glow Resources specialize. They recruit nationwide. For example, they had a Baton Rouge company that was looking for an engineer. They found the employee in Florida to work the job in California. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online today. glowresources.com.
This station.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All right, we roll along here on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. A couple things left to do before we send you into your weekend. I want to shift the focus back to LSU baseball here for a second, if I could. There were some really interesting numbers that came out of LSU's scrimmage yesterday. They're actually scrimmaging currently at the box. I'll be out there Sunday. I'm really looking forward to getting back out there to watch some baseball. So Musso at the box, please get subscribed if you have not already. YouTube or podcast. We'll have a full recap of the scrimmage posted there once I'm finished watching on Sunday. But they're scrimmaging out there right now. But three guys in particular really stood out yesterday, and I have some thoughts on each. Two of them were pitchers, and there was one hitter in the lineup. We'll start with the arms. Cooper Moore has just been sensational so far in this offseason leading up to his first year at LSU. That's a guy who, in 2 seasons at Kansas, filled every single role that they needed him to. Bullpen, and then last season, it's funny when he signs in the transfer portal, you just hear Kansas Ace. He was the Friday night guy. And you know what? Yeah, he was. But that doesn't tell the entire story. He didn't start the season as the Friday night guy. That guy started games last year for Kansas in the midweek, on Sunday, on Saturday, and Friday. He filled every potential role. And he was their best arm. He was awesome. And you've seen that on full display, really starting in the fall, and definitely through the first 2 outings for him in what they call the spring. I like to call it the preseason because you've been outside lately, it damn sure ain't spring. He's thrown 8 innings, has not allowed an earned run, and has struck out 13. And the 13 strikeouts are really interesting because Cooper Moore, for his career, is a guy that has more innings pitched than strikeouts. That's not his game. His game is weak contact, ground balls, let the defense do the work. I'll strike out 1 here, there, everywhere. Like I'm gonna go 7 innings, maybe strike out 7. Maybe on a good day, 8 Ks in the 7 innings. More than likely, 5, 6, 7. So to see the strikeout numbers be as high as they are right now for him is very encouraging. I don't know if that's sustainable over the course of a season for him. His career shows you that, no, it's not. That's just not the way he runs. He's got a great changeup. It's a low 90s fastball, but it's 4-pitch mix. And he's pitchability, right? That's the word you're going to hear with him. I think Jay Johnson probably has already used that. And while it's not surprising to see that from Cooper Moore because he's a veteran of Power 4 baseball and you brought him here to start. Like, that's a guy who filled every rotation spot a year ago with success, mind you. You're not bringing him in to be the setup guy. You're bringing him in to start. That was the goal. That was what he was going to do. But I'll be damned if he hasn't earned that now. Through his performance in the fall and just these 2 to start preseason, he's earned it. And he's going to be a lot of fun to watch pitch. That's like, in a game that's so filled with velocity now and strikeout, the art of pitching is still a beautiful thing to watch. And Cooper Moore is that guy. Where he fits in the rotation, man, that's going to be really interesting to see. I know they would love to put him on Sunday because, man, what an advantage he would be for you in that spot. You might not have that luxury early in the season. We'll see. I think the rotation's still pretty fluid, maybe a little bit more fluid than some. And I also think when it comes to the starting rotation, week 1 and week 2, I don't really care because more than likely, that's not going to be your rotation at the end of the season. Like, what happened for LSU in 2025 is such an anomaly in college baseball. Where you went out there, Cade Anderson was your Friday guy week 1, and Anthony Ianson was your Saturday guy week 1, and that never wavered. That went all the way from Purdue, Fort Wayne, to Coastal Carolina, to the dog pile in Omaha. That doesn't happen in college baseball for a lot of different reasons. One, there's injuries. Like the fact that they stayed healthy the whole time is awesome. I mean, hell, Anderson left a start, scared the hell out of everybody, right? But it was fine. Like, that stuff happens in a season. Guys don't fit the role the way you thought they would, or somebody emerges and is better for the role at that moment. So I don't really care where it is early in the season. I want it settled for the SEC, at least by week 2. That's my target. Because it's going to change. That's how it goes. But I look at Cooper Moore as a potential on a Sunday when the league is more offensive and a lot of teams have burned through their pitching and it's a whole staff day. If you could have a guy like Cooper Moore run out there, it's hard to feel like that wouldn't be an advantage. It's very similar to what LSU had in 2017 with Eric Walker, right? They're different pitchers in a sense, kind of similar in some. But it's what it represents. And, he's been fantastic. And I think anyone who hasn't seen him yet, you're really going to enjoy watching him pitch for LSU this year. I do believe that. The other pitcher that really stood out yesterday was Cooper Williams. Cooper Williams, 20 innings for LSU last year, ERA a tick over 1. He really showed the ability to kind of start to extend towards the back half of the season, pitched in Omaha for LSU. Meaningful innings down the stretch of the season for Cooper Williams. He almost went 4 or 5 innings in the scrimmage on Thursday. Now, it was in a relief role. He relieved Case and Evans and kind of took him the rest of the way. But watching him go 4 2/3, by the way, he gave up. He gave up 1 hit and 1 earned run. He also struck out 8, which is something to see. Because in the same vein as Cooper Moore, he's not really a strikeout guy. He threw 20 innings last year, 21 strikeouts. The stuff isn't power stuff. It plays up a little bit. But again, it's a great changeup, a really good lefty slider, a fastball. It's going to get up to 93, maybe touch a 94 every now and then. You know who he reminds me of from like a stuff standpoint is Jared Poche. And right down to the left-handed pitcher. Poche wasn't the strikeout guy. He was pitchability, ground balls, multiple pitches, all of them for strikes from the left side. And where I could see that comp even extend is if Cooper Williams finds his way into this rotation. Which is something that Jay Johnson absolutely wants. You don't have to take my word for it. Jay Johnson has told you that multiple times. He told you that last year. Cooper Williams projects as a starting pitcher, and that's his role at some point in his time at LSU. But paraphrasing, but Jay Johnson has said that. He favors a lefty in the rotation. And I'm going to tell you right now, my quote-unquote bold prediction for this year is that Cooper Williams does end up in the rotation by season's end. And you've seen it work with a pitcher like him. It's another guy who's going to be in the zone, weak contact, play some good defense behind him. And when he's got you back on your heels, he can strike you out. And I'm here for that. The other thing is to drive these performances home that these two guys had on Thursday is the lineups are balanced. Like Cooper Moore was facing a lineup with Curiel and Brown and Simpson and Trent Caraway, and Cooper Williams faced Curiel and Milam and Zach York. Like they're balanced out. So they're each doing it against the best that LSU has to offer because they haven't combined. Like they'll do that later in the preseason. They'll kind of to get everybody used to playing with each other, see how the lineups function. But they're not at that point yet. So to watch those two have those outings, that's very, very encouraging going forward. Last guy is Mason Braun. And if you don't know the name, learn it. I could not be more excited to watch Mason Braun. If you don't know who he is, Mason Braun is a freshman, about 6 foot, 213. He was the number 1 first baseman in high school baseball in the country in the class of 2025. He was the number 1 player out of the state of Indiana. His future is at first base at LSU. This year, they have him listed first base, outfield, and DH might very well be where he slides in. Mason Braun is raw power. He was at the MLB Combine this summer. He hit the longest home run out of anyone there. 430 feet. Also had 3 other homers over 400 feet. That's with a wood bat, mind you. He went yard yesterday off of Cooper Williams. Had 2 other hits off of Kason Evans. His last 2 scrimmages, not knowing what he did today yet, his last 2 scrimmages, he's 6 out of 8. And that piggybacks off of what was a tear that he was on to close the fall. If you were to give me the lineup card right now, say, Musso, you get to fill this out for opening day. He's my opening day DH, and it's not close. And I'm really excited to watch him because I have this thing in my mind. He reminds me a lot of Jared Jones in Jones's freshman year of 2023, where Jones was on an absolute tear right up until the season, and it got to the point where you can't not have him in the lineup, and you had an injury out in the outfield, so Trey Morgan moved to left, and Jones got some starts and played first, and then he was at first and DH all throughout, and he ended up getting over 100 at-bats that year, and he hit a tick over 300 and hit 14 bombs, and it was a great entrance for him into college baseball because then he turned around as a sophomore, hit 28 homers, hit over 300 again, and played a great first base for you. And I think Mason Braun should be provided with an opportunity similar because I think he could return similar results for you. The guy's already hitting nukes off of Cooper Williams and getting knocks off of Kason Evans. It's 2 of the best that you have to offer if you're LSU. Not to say he wouldn't go through a slump, have struggles in the regular season. Of course he would. But I look at this lineup and I go, man, you don't have really that big power guy that's a known commodity, and you're not going to have that. What you're looking for is power throughout. I think he could provide that. Do I think he could go hit 13 homers as a freshman? I do. Like Jones did. Swings it from the left side, and it is violent when he connects with the ball. That's a guy I am extremely high on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to be the everyday DH. I don't think he will be. You have such a plethora of guys who can go into that spot, whether it's Braden Simpson or whoever's not playing second base that day, whether it's, Tanner Reeves, maybe even Omar Cerna gets some ABs in there. We'll see. But when Mason Braun's in there, pay attention. Because I think that guy has the potential to be an absolute star by the time his season is over. Another reason I'd like to see him get that many at-bats is, for me, it'd be just an easy slide in for him at first base when Zach York leaves after this season. So keep an eye. He wears number 18. When you see him out there, pay attention because he might be the next one at LSU. What was so good was to see him continue the tear he was on at the end of fall. 6 out of 8 in his last 2 scrimmages. That's loud, folks. That's loud. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. A couple more segments here, and we'll close out the Friday edition of AFR. Stick around.
AFR.
If you fill up Tiger Stadium 15 times, that'd be roughly 1.5 million people. That's how many realtors there are in the United States. Darren James ranked number 14 in the country when it comes to the numbers of homes sold. That's Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list. Think about what I just said. Fill up Tiger Stadium 15 times, and of all those people, Darren James ranked number 14. You need to get to a closing table. You need to sell your home fast for the most amount of money. You need the absolute best customer service experience with constant communication and results. Well, you need Darren James. So, call Darren. 335-7666, 335-7666, 335-7666. That's Darren Sell. Or go to agent225.com, agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales and Trent Davis and our whole staff. We appreciate everyone so much who's giving us the opportunity. Our commercial roofing manager, Matt Pearson, sent us all a text that we were just awarded a large commercial roofing job today, and they heard us talking about it. And yes, of course, at your home, any roof repair, replacement, we love to help you out. We can install gutters for you. We do soft wash, do all of it. But I want to remind you that we are a commercial roofing company as well. So if your commercial building needs a new roof or repair, you're having any issues whatsoever, we have the best guy. We went and scoured the world and found Matt Pearson in Florida, and we brought him to Baton Rouge. I'm convinced there's not a soul alive that knows more about commercial roofing than Matt Pearson. So if your commercial building is having any roof issues, roof repair, replacement, or you just need options, trust me, have a conversation with Matt Pearson. We'd love to help you out. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com.
You know, Jordan, earlier in the show, you and I were joking around talking about Saints draft with players who are probably just already salivating over because they're at the Senior Bowl or they went to Ohio State or a small school or whatnot.
Yep.
I have something here that the Saints actually, their front office might have the bib on and be salivating about.
Okay.
Tom Pelissero had this report about 3 hours ago. The NFL has informed teams here on Friday of the projected 2026 salary cap.
Okay.
The salary cap is projected to range from $301.2 million to $305.7 million. If you're curious, last year's salary cap was $279.2.
Oh, that's a huge increase.
It's a huge increase.
Yeah.
And the Saints, who last season, right? I mean, they
spent
a little, but they Derek Carr retired. That saved them a bunch. You know, they traded away some
we was clearance rack shopping though.
Played a lot of
clearance rack.
Played a lot of rookies trying to finally get back within cap compliance. If you look at this, 301 to 305 million, that would put the Saints somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on where the final number lands, $15 million over the cap.
Wow.
Which is child's play to that organization.
Yeah. Over the cap and the Saints don't even go together.
No. I mean, they have to look at that and be like, we used to get out of like 6 figures worth of debt and have money to spend. You mean 15 million's all we got to clear to have like?
Yeah, man.
They probably got this projection today, already worked it out. Just somewhere in a hallway at the Senior Bowl, just already working it out. They already have money to spend. Like that's probably what happened today when the Saints saw this. They have to be in heaven. Like that's child's play concerning what this organization has worked their way out of mathematically before.
Oh, no, we've seen them come from the depths of hell, basically, to make ends meet. And it just goes to show you what having a quarterback on a rookie deal does for a football team, literally.
I mean, that's like, it could not have gone any better for the New Orleans Saints at that position in the last 365 days.
Oh, without a doubt.
Where Derek Carr retires, you get a buttload of savings off of that, and Derek Carr's no longer a quarterback.
Still get goosebumps from that day. Still get goosebumps.
And then you appear to have hit on Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
At least you know going forward, he's the guy you're going to do. And now you just have capital, and you have, what? How many? Is it 9 picks again this year?
A lot.
Or is it 8? It might be 8.
Did they do the composition picks or whatever?
They're getting the comp pick. I don't know if they've officially handed it out, but they are projected to get one, I think, in the 5th round.
No, I think it's 4th. I think it's 4th.
round?
Yeah, it's another 4th round
Let's
pick.
see. Hold on. I'm going to do this live on air.
I'll be good. We'll fill it in.
Saints draft picks 2026. I know they have the number 8 pick. I want to know how many. Here we go.
Yeah, what we looking at?
It's got to load,
Of course.
Internet, all that stuff.
It's the last hour before a weekend. You already know what time it is.
Well, that didn't give it to me either. It's just, nope. Hold on. Yeah, so we're going to look this up. Because it's 8 or 9 that they have again this year. They had 9 last year, and they made all of them, which I think floored everyone.
Yeah.
But again, that was a signal of them wanting to get younger, less expensive.
It showed that Mickey Loomis, I hate to say it, but he's learning from his wrongs. He's learning that you don't always have to trade up. You don't always have to give up to move up.
Is he, though?
We'll see this year.
Hold on. I say that, is he, or is this influence from the new staff? Jeff Ireland, when he met with the media at the Senior Bowl on, that was Wednesday now. It was actually during the show when he met with the reporters. They asked him about the staff's input, and he talked about they know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And we gave them a template, and they filled it out as detailed as it could be of we want this, and this in a player. This is, and they went out and tried to get those players. That's what I'm like, was that a thing where it's like, the new staff. And again, I'm speculating here, right? I don't know.
We're not in the rooms.
But somewhere Kellen Moore and his staff are probably like, hey man, we're trying to make this our own. Really trying to build this up.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Can we make all 9 picks?
Yeah.
That's my only other theory. Other than that, they locked Mickey Loomis in a closet without a phone and didn't allow him to trade up. It's 6-7 is what it looks like for the Saints.
Interesting.
Here in it has to end up with the compensatory, but I could have sworn I saw the report that they did get the comp pick. 8 possible. No, 6-7. Okay, there it is. 6-7. But that's still a really good number.
Lot.
And you know what? You need to make all of them.
You do.
You need to make all of them again. Because the salary cap's only going to go up. It's only going to keep going. How about this? 2013. You want to take a guess what the salary cap was in 2013 in the NFL?
Well, if it's $300 million now, over $300 million now, I'm assuming maybe barely $200 million at the time.
Lower.
What? Oh, under $200 million?
Well under $200 million.
Well under $200 million. 175?
Nope.
Lower than that?
Well lower than that.
Dude, okay. 145?
You're almost there.
150?
Wrong way.
Oh, wrong. Lower than 145.
Lower.
140? 143.
Got to keep going lower.
Dude, okay. 135.
Almost there, lower.
No, 130.
123.
123.
$123 million was the NFL salary cap 10 years ago.
And we're at 300 million plus.
10 years ago in 2016, it was 155.27.
What?
I mean, you're looking at the increases from that. From 123 in 4 seasons, from 123 to 155. You just went from 279 to potentially 305 at the high end of the scale.
Yo.
They doing all right in the NFL, guys. The product's real good, and they're making a lot of money. And it's only going to keep going up.
Yeah.
So while that helps the Saints, I mean, obviously, look, all 32 teams get to play by those rules.
Yeah, they got a piece of the pie.
Right. But that's exciting to see the salary cap increasing at the level that it is with your team getting younger. Like that is exciting. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl next year because I don't think that they are. Do I think they could win the division?
Yeah.
I do. I think they could. Not ready to say that they will, but I think they could, which means you're in the playoffs, which you haven't been there in 5 seasons. There's just a lot of reasons of optimism right now. And maybe it feels that way because there hadn't been a lot of optimism for about, 4 seasons. But the salary cap news today, because, Saints are going to have plenty.
Oh,
They're going to have plenty.
Honestly, when you say, like, the optimism part, it feels like not a fake optimism. It just feels like this is a real genuine optimism because you hit on a position where the quarterback, we all know that's the brain of the body. Like, you can't walk without the quarterback. You hit on that. Well, it looks like you hit on that. We'll see what he looks like this season. But it looks like you hit on that. Now you're in a position where all you got to do is fill in holes.
And that's the challenge that faces them now, right?
It's a challenge.
I'm draft and free agency are going to be huge just because if they hit again, I think you can look at this more as a collaborative effort. If they hit again.
All parties involved. Yeah.
Where I think the staff does have a pretty heavy hand in what they're getting in free agency, what they're getting in the draft. And look, let's be honest. At the height of this franchise when Sean Payton was here, that's what was happening. I think we all kind of saw that collectively with those first few drafts after Sean Payton left, how much input he really had. And when you look at what he's already been able to build in Denver through free agency and draft, he had a lot of input in that, and it worked. I'm not saying Kellen Moore and his staff are to that level, but listening to Jeff Ireland, I do think their input was heavy, and they gave great directives. And credit to Saints front office, they looked like they went out and found the guys they wanted, and a lot of them played really, really well this year. So,
we all knew that Shuck was Kellen's guy, so that's kind of like the first domino right there. Was that?
Yeah. And they're going to go get receivers. The conversation is like, remember the conversation draft last year? How is it an emphasis to get Kellen Moore his quarterback in this draft? And they would, well, it's an emphasis to get every player. And they're doing the same thing with
Smacking the
receiver.
gum.
They're doing smacking the gum, doing the same thing with the receiver right now. They're going to go get him a lot of weapons in this draft class. And
Cornell
then
Tate, come on down.
And then Cornell Tate, Ohio State. And then you're hired. And then hopefully at a cornerback as well, man. If it's not receiver at 8, I would love to see them draft a DB, and I would love for that DB to be Mansour Delane. But
Man, I've been seeing so many Cowboys fans with him in little swaps. I feel like they would literally disintegrate if the Cowboys cannot get Mansour Delane. They want him so bad at 12.
he's going to be really good wherever he goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's going to be really,
He's gonna look
really
clean in the
yeah.
Cowboys uniforms, though. I'm not a Cowboys
Well,
guy,
which
but-
ones, though? Because some of the Cowboys uniforms aren't actually good.
I mean, the all white. I mean, the white, like the basic white.
Okay,
is,
yeah,
that's
a good
clean. Like,
I like the navy blue.
the navy blue is.
I think it's their best uniform.
Thank you, Moose. The navy blue goes because they barely wear it.
I think it's their best uniform. Anyway, I hope they lose every game they play. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll close out Friday. We'll close out the week here on AFR. Ask us if you want to get some questions in. You can tweet them to me at Musso Matthew, Bayou Ford YouTube chat, however you want to do it. Jordan, Paul, me, asks anything. We can answer that, and we'll just close out the hour with something fun here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. That's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
We'll close out here, hour number 1. We'll pass this along. When Otter was with us yesterday, he did throw out a play for tonight. That's Michigan State. It's the rivalry game, Michigan State. DraftKings, top 10 matchup there. And DraftKings does have a 30% boost on that. And, folks, it's been a good week. I mean, there's a sweep last night between Otter and Colucci. It's been a pretty profitable week here, Otterlocks AFR. So we're not jinxing anything. Just passing along that it's been a nice week. And Otter has one play for you tonight that he gave out yesterday, Michigan State. When I jumped on it earlier, it was 2.5 plus 1.5. Michigan State plus 1.5. Not quite sure what it is right now, but I mean, hey Jordan.
He's hot.
Colucci last night.
Oh, he's hot.
Dude.
Nah, he went 3-0.
The last few weeks with Colucci have been real good.
Nah,
I mean, he gave the wild last night. It was pretty heavy price, so I split it between the puck line and the money line. Cashed both. I mean, just.
Listen, man, it's not
Is it good?
Colucci time until Colucci comes on there and give us some nice picks on the ice.
Like-
he does this. I'll give him that. He does this.
He does this. He does this.
He does.
The Stars tried to ruin it last night. They blew a 3-goal lead in the third period and then won it in overtime. So it doesn't matter. But they had a 3-goal lead
Got to sweat it out, baby.
and tried to lose, but they didn't. And that was the plus money one last night from Colucci. Michigan State tonight. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll be back here on Monday with Matt on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. For elite athletes, for someone who just wants a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children. Evermore is a great option. I would highly encourage you, bottom line, if you're drinking tap water, don't. Bare minimum, filter your tap water. But the best option is Evermore. This is natural artesian water. It's underground aquifers on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, right there in Covington. They dug a well into that aquifer. And, I mean, it's literally thousands of years in the making. That's why they call it Mother Nature's masterpiece. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take, like, the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, EVAMOR, evermore.com.